Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Buyinza Nakalchi on Sign Language. It's Monday, the 23rd of January, 2023. But first, a look at our top stories.
In Business Today, Parliament resolved to censure Minister Namuganza over misconduct, attacking the Speaker and other MPs. The private schools tuition dilemma continues as both parties refuse to budge ahead of the Cabinet's decision on school fees increment. Microfinance commits to support SACCOs in order to improve on household income and increase saving culture.
All right, now let's get right onto it. The Parliament today has agreed to adopt the censure report against the State Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Honourable Princess Persis Namuganza, for misconduct and assaulting the person of the Speaker, Right Honourable Anita Annett, among other members of Parliament, particularly those who sit in the ad hoc committee. Now, we do have more in this report.
Acheng Sarah Opendi.
I vote yes.
The procedure to censure Minister Namuganza began at 10 a.m. with the Select Committee's head, Honourable Mwini Mpaka, presenting to the floor of Parliament their findings in the investigations launched against the said minister.
Allow me to lay on the table the report.
He informed the legislature that with all the evidence brought to the committee, including videos and WhatsApp messages, they gave the minister the chance to come and give a side of the story, but she failed to do so, a sign of disrespect to the Parliament.
Honourable Speaker, I vote yes.
The committee granted Honourable Namuganza another opportunity to appear before it and defend herself against the allegations in the motion and in a letter dated 13th January 2023, inviting her to appear before the committee on Monday, 16th January 2023 at 9 a.m. In the same letter, the committee asked Honourable Namuganza to confirm whether she had instructed Mr. Pande Norman to represent her in the proceedings of the committee as her counsel. On Monday, 16th January 2023, the committee waited for Honourable Namuganza the whole day, but she neither appeared nor sent a representative.
Legislators claimed that the minister in question had a personal conflict with Alitwala Kadaga, and that despite warnings about her actions, she continued to act in a cooperative manner. She also brought those conflicts into the 11th Parliament, attacking anyone who dared to disagree with her.
She survived. That maybe she found a soft spot in the last Parliament. But I think she took it for granted. She thought business was as usual, that she can disparage Parliament, disparage the presiding officers, members of Parliament, and she walks away. During our inductions, where she had the privilege to attend, they asked us that when, as a member, you have a disagreement with the Speaker or any other person, find that person in chambers and sort out this matter.
I sat here this morning and painfully listened to the report of the Select Committee. Painfully, because we have before us an example of a leader who has no respect, who has no regard, number one, for authority.
According to Honourable Ababiku Jessica, the Prime Minister urged the offending minister to apologize during a plenary session, but the minister refused.
I am so hurt by the response made by this same person when the Honourable Prime Minister requested her to apologize. You are a junior minister and you cannot listen to your Prime Minister.
I vote yes.
After some debate over the report, the chamber decided to vote, and 348 members chose to reprimand the minister, 3 chose to abstain, and 5 chose to vote against it.
Having obtained the numbers required, that is more than half of the members of Parliament, as required under Article 118, Clause 1 of the Constitution, and meeting the threshold provided for under Rule 109, Sub-Rule 12 of our Rules of Procedure, Sub-Rule 13 of our Rules of Procedure, I hereby declare that the motion has been carried, that Honorable Namuganza passes, be censured, and as required under Rule 109, Sub-Rule 13 of our Rules of Procedure, I will inform the President accordingly within 24 hours.
I don't know what abstentions would mean, but I'm not voting yes or no.
One of the MPs who did not vote, Honorable Oguzli Dennis, told us that did not think it was important to get involved in this issue at this time because the country is still dealing with more vital issues.
This to me was not a matter that it's not one of those issues currently affecting the nation which we should have focused on. You can see we have wasted almost a whole day just deliberating on that one matter, and yet people elsewhere are struggling to fend for life. There are challenges. School fees is being increased elsewhere. Some Ugandans are going hungry. The economy is not doing well. These are matters we should have focused on.
As of right now, Honorable Persis Namuganza is only a representative for the county of Bukono in Parliament, and the Speaker of the House is required to notify the President, the person who appoints representatives, within 24 hours of the resolution of the House. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now let's look at school fees disputes. As we wait for the Cabinet's resolution and decision on the increase in school fees, we examine the disagreements between the two groups, the public and the private schools. The increase is against the Ministry of Education regulation prohibiting schools from hiking and making any modifications as the cost of living crisis persists. Now, the schools assert that the current inflationary pressure are what led to the planned fees increase. Rona Nahabwe reports.
According to a survey, some schools in Wakiso, Mukono and Kampala regions have raised tuition from between 100,000 shillings to 600,000 shillings. However, the Education Ministry issued a directive in 2021 prohibiting fee increment on private schools. The statement aimed to prevent private schools from raising tuition costs or any other fees without obtaining the Ministry of Education's approval.
Schools are opening. And as we prepare our children to go back to school, I want to re-echo the issue of increasing school fees. The fees are being increased amidst the economic crisis that we are in. I want the owners of the schools, private schools, government schools, to make sure that they follow the circulars that have been given by Minister of Education. And Minister of Education should also make sure they make a follow-up on how much fees are charged to these children. Some people will not be able to afford school fees for their children because of some greedy kind of owners of schools. So we need to make sure that school fees is affordable for everybody.
If they allow fuel to go up to 6,000 without interfering, if they allow National Water, which is a government body, to increase the fees, why do they refuse me to increase the fees? Yeah. It's really, in principle, it doesn't make sense and it will not work, I can assure you. It can't work because, I mean, here I am. This school is not in Kampala, in Wakiso, but the difference is the same. We call it Greater Kampala or Metropolitan something. If they insist, and I say, okay, no problem. Dear parents, I cannot run the school, take away your children.
Prior to the year 2019, the nation struggled with lower learning outcomes. Now experts worry that fee increment and school closings may cause many more children to miss out, which is why these Jumpstart programs were created by NGOs and other different stakeholders to assist parents with affording to pay for their children, since their financial strength has already been affected by the high cost of living.
So we are offering to schools up to 200 million shillings, which is also up to about 30% of your collectible school fees during this period of next 12 weeks that you can come and take unsecured as a school owner or as a school to be able to enable your school to restart. Now, this is an overdraft facility that would run across the next 12 weeks And we believe that because of the challenges that most schools have, this facility actually comes in handy to enable schools to be able to reopen and begin to start kicking off activities.
The survey also indicates that schools struggled to complete 2022 after inflationary pressures made school expenses prohibitively high. With private schools unwilling to budge and the same seen on the government side, the question is, what is the way forward for private schools? Renana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Right now, the government has assumed full management of the Ginger Storage Terminal, which was under a joint venture partnership with the consortium of companies, which was led by One Petroleum Uganda Limited. Now, the 30 million litre facility was established in the 1970s to store strategic reserves of petroleum products and enhance the security of supply in the country. Naima Mutumba.
In 2017, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development handed over the Ginger Storage Terminal to Uganda National Oil Company with the primary objective of restocking it and enhancing strategic fuel reserves for the country, which led to the refurbishment of the facility and made improvements that have since facilitated the continuity of operations as well as bulk trading business.
As you all are aware, Ginger Storage Terminal was built as a storage facility for the country's petroleum products to ensure reliable supply of fuel to our oil marketing companies at competitive prices and mitigate supply challenges, as well as much as possible, manage volatility of fuel prices.
The facility provided monthly revenue to UNOC consistently since 2017 up to December last year. And that revenue that was generated through the partnership birthed the bulk trading business in UNOC, which has led to 35 transactions with the market to date, and with the potential of positioning UNOC within the supply chain of fuel imports in Uganda.
Ginger South East Member of Parliament, Nathan Igeme, has asked the petroleum business to take into account local employment in order to achieve growth and mutual gain for both the company and the community.
I'm going to request you that for Ginger facility, if you can look at local content for the people of Ginger, to be able to give the services, to offer services to the GST, so that they are able to feel the impact of your presence in Ginger, which I think you can replicate as a policy to the Kampala facilities and the Hoima facilities and everywhere you're going. If you can provide local content so that the people in the local area can provide services to you, it will go a long way in stimulating the economies of the areas you're in.
According to Ginger municipal leaders, the oil and gas industry is still facing difficulties due to the current market conditions, such as places with inadequate infrastructure that needs to be addressed.
The lorries that have been dropping here, all the way from Kenya coming into Ginger, they've been destroying our roads. But luckily enough, UNO comes in place and helps us to set up the pier that brings in now fuel via barges. Honorable Minister, UNOC has done what they can do. But if we to go to the pier at this moment, it is in a very, very, very bad state.
Speaking with oil company beneficiaries, they disclosed that the storage facility will be useful during fuel shortages. The storage facility has a maximum 2-week supply coverage period.
Government has finally taken over this facility because the people they handed the facility to, no single individual has or is willing to invest in to bring and store over 30 million liters. But we believe the government that it has finally taken over, they will allocate funds and store that fuel, so that when there is a crisis across the border, say in Kenya, we don't run out of fuel within minutes, so within days. So within a few days, 2 to 3 days, So with 30 million liters, if it's fully stocked, it can take us maybe a week or so, because currently, we use over 200 million liters in a month.
The Jinja storage terminal is anticipated to contain 30 million litres, and this will be increased by a second storage facility in Mpigi that is anticipated to have a 300 million litre holding capacity. It is anticipated that the terminal will lessen Uganda's petroleum supply shortages, which frequently trigger speculations and occasionally dramatic rises in fuel prices. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And right now, let's talk matters. World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum in Davos recently concluded with a series of discussions on the global economic outlook, with a specific focus on developing countries such as Uganda and Tanzania. Now, experts shared their insights on the challenges and opportunities facing the nation's economy and what it means for the nation moving forward. This and more with Bronia Katusime.
At the World Economic Forum, experts spoke about the value of encouraging inclusive growth and enhancing the business environment to draw in foreign investment. Additionally, they emphasized that these difficulties are not particular to Uganda and that most developing nations also deal with the problems including poverty, inequality, and lack of access to essential services, particularly in rural areas.
But relief must not become complacency. Inflation is down, but just as transitory factors elevated inflation earlier, transitory factors have contributed to the declines that we have seen in inflation. And as in many journeys, the last part of the journey is often the hardest. And that's true with respect to a return to the inflation target.
Along with noting potential opportunities and problems, they also emphasized the possibility for increasing trade and investment among developing nations, as well as the necessity of better infrastructure and a qualified workforce to support economic progress.
My biggest concern is that something that in principle is very good to accelerate the transition to the green economy by using public money to step up private investments. This is what the US is doing. This is what we just heard from Bruno. Europe is doing, may not serve well the emerging markets and the developing world. Why? Because if you take technologies to emerging markets, if technology transfer is part of your plan, yes, we will succeed. But if we are to strive to get the industrialized world clean and we don't think about the emerging markets, we are all cooked.
Countries have been urged to come together to put a stop to the Ukraine crisis, which is threatening global success because the Ukraine conflict and the state of the world economy are related to one another.
A regional conflict. I know that many nations around the world think that this is only a regional conflict. This is not a regional conflict. This is a global conflict. This is a global conflict because it has a direct impact on the level of prices, on the level of commodity prices, on the level of energy prices. This is a global conflict because our core common values are at stake.
Overall, the World Economic Forum experts urged for a more inclusive and sustainable economic growth for developing countries like Uganda. If we diversify rationally, the cost of this adjustment would be low. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at the Kakira's contribution to the development of Busoga region. Kakira Sugar Works, under the Madbank group of companies, is one of the fortunes that has greatly contributed to the economic development of Busoga region in eastern Uganda, and of course the entire country at large. Now today we look at how the company has helped in the development of Busoga region as well as the entire country. Monica Nabionga report.
Kakila Sugar directly employs over 100,000 people and has been instrumental in the socio-economic growth of Busoga region. In addition to providing direct employment, Kakira operations benefit the neighborhood by helping local businesses like outgrower farmers, cane transporters, and support industries. This has considerably assisted the government's effort to end poverty. Over 75,000 people in Uganda's South Busoga region, including dependent families, rely on Kakira Sugar Works for their livelihood.
Kakira is employing 12,200 people. We are working with 9,500 people. Our CSR is very well developed. We have a school with 16 schools with 3,800 children. We have a hospital with 4 doctors, 75 beds. So Kakira Sugar is taking care of the people and is working closely with the community. Kakira Outgrower Rural Development Fund. So it's a partnership between the farmers and Kakira, where for each ton of cane delivered to the factory, we give a certain amount of money to court. This has made possible to construct 23 classrooms in their region, to develop their region, 5 science labs, 3 health facilities. We are helping more than 1,000 orphans, also in their training. We give them training. We also had created 3 years ago what we called Kakira Sugar Outgrowers Development Fund. It's 200 million Ugandan shillings we give a year for vocational training of people in Busoga.
However, the Sugar Works factory, which is already well established in Busoga region, plans to expand to other parts of Uganda in order to assist the government in reducing the country's high unemployment rate and fostering economic growth in additional areas.
We already have Kayunga estate, 6,000 hectares. This is to develop our own cane. We increased. Otherwise, in the region, we don't have a big project, but we have a project in the north, Amuru, where we want to create a similar Kakira.
The tree plantations in the vicinity are clear evidence of Kakira Sugar Works' commitment to environmental preservation, but they also place a strong emphasis on recycling in order to minimize environmental damage. The only source of electricity used by the business is cane waste.
If you look to the factory, we have a lot of byproducts. First byproduct is bagasse. This is the fiber of the cane after extraction of the sugar, of the juice at the sugarcane mill. This is the fuel for the bagasse boilers. Bagasse boilers producing steam sent to turbo generator sets producing up to 51 megawatt, making Kakira the largest bagasse cogeneration plant in Africa, one of the largest. We are exporting to the national grid up to 32 megawatts. You can lighten the port of Kampala with that. It's renewable and green energy.
We use everything. The byproducts we're using for electricity, we use it for ethanol. What comes out of here, the byproduct from the distillery, we send to a biodigester. So we use the byproduct from here, so that we use that to create methane gas, which we send through a turbine to generate electricity. So everything here is recyclable. So there's zero output to the environment.
With the ability to produce 9,000 metric tons of sugar per day if cane is available, Kakira Sugar Works is the top sugar producer in Uganda and ranked 3rd in East Africa. However, there are setbacks when the company runs out of canes, despite the fact that it works with over 7,000 outgrowers. 35% of the factory's cane needs are met by Kakira Nucleus Estate, which has over 10,000 hectares under cane cultivation. Monica Nabyonga, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's look at the vandalism of water infrastructure. The vandalism that is actually taking government back into unplanned service delivery plans and targets. When water infrastructure, especially water meters, are damaged, government has to make necessary and urgent steps to restore the water supply that are not budgeted for. This affects the economic plan outlook and effective service delivery. Mathani Msima reports.
According to Mohammed Lutaya,
General Manager at National Water and Sewage Corporation, the increasing vandalism of water infrastructure is the result of some consumers' insecurity and irresponsibility due to the costs associated with replacement and the rise in illegal connections made by customers, which reduces demand for water due to numerous bad connections. Vandalism has hampered service delivery progress.
From national means that you're stealing from yourself. But most importantly, when you steal, you're denying another Ugandan in another place the opportunity of getting water. Because what happens with us is that when we provide you with a service and you help us and you pay your bills, we remove the operating costs, remove power, we pay to umeme, we remove the money for the chemicals we use, move the money for the network operations, buying materials and all the things. Then we remove money for the salaries. Whatever is left, yeah, we put it back. I think this is really, for me, the most important thing is we need to understand that what National is doing right now is for us, yeah, as Ugandans. This is our organization, this is our company as Ugandans, and the purpose is that we're not getting money and we are benefiting ourselves, but the money we're getting is to make sure that everyone has access. So the fight for people stealing water is a challenge for us, but it's a challenge that we're taking on very, very seriously, and with the support of the community, the support of the leadership in the LCs, and also the support of the security agencies. It's a fight that we are sure as Ugandans we're going to fight and we're going to win.
The general public needs to be made aware of the vandalism because all the costs associated with restoring the water infrastructure are borne by the customers. Although vandalism of water infrastructure is still a crime, there is currently no apparent punishment for it, which hinders government efforts to manage this malpractice.
Like this case of yesterday, the community are concerned, and mostly what normally happens is that the suspects normally go pretending to be imposed like they are national water staff. But for us, our main aim always is our staff normally identify themselves when they're in the field, and you can easily know if somebody is an imposter, the confidence somebody has, and possibly the documentation and possibly an introduction to the customer's premises. But we appeal to the public to be more vigilant and to report any case of meter theft or water theft to the authority so that we are able to follow up and stop the vice.
Unauthorized individuals can readily gain access to water infrastructure like meters since they are simply unplugged from the main taps. Some clients have tools that they use to open and close the taps.
I got these meters while in Najana Nkumbi. Using my tools, I open the tap and remove the meters. This can be done in a short while.
The effective availability to water in Uganda has been hampered by the rising water infrastructure vandalism. The National Water and Sewage Corporation is collaborating with the police to address vandalism, and it is urging the public to report any incidences of vandalism, prevent needless increases in water bills. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
In our Business Today, let's take a break. We shall be returning with more. Keep it Smart 24.